Most luxury skincare costs 5 times more than drugstore products, but here's what the industry doesn't want you to know. They're often made in the same factories with nearly identical ingredient lists. The price difference? You're funding frosted glass packaging and celebrity endorsements, not better chemistry. I'm Chloe Chen, and I've spent 3 years running side-by-side tests on over 500 product pairings to prove that your skin can't tell the difference between an $8 serum and an $80 one when the active ingredients match. You're listening to Luxury Beauty on a Budget podcast. Quick heads up, all the research, testing, and writing you're about to hear is 100% human, written and verified by real beauty experts. But the voice delivering it is AI-generated. Just wanted to keep that transparent from the start. Now, if you're a regular around here, thank you for coming back episode after episode. It genuinely keeps me going. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I think you're going to like what we do here. New episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you've always got fresh content to look forward to. Today's episode is all about building a high-performance skincare and makeup routine on a budget by learning to read ingredient labels like a cosmetic chemist, and I'm walking you through the exact dupe testing process I've used on over 500 products. Let's get into it. You don't need a luxury budget to look expensive. You just need to know where the formulation quality actually lives. I've spent the last 3 years side by side testing drugstore and prestige products, and here's the truth. Most of the time, you're paying for packaging and brand prestige, not better actives. This guide breaks down the most effective beauty tips without breaking the bank, from ingredient percentages that matter to texture comparisons that reveal which $12 serum performs identically to its $80 counterpart. Let's get into it. So first, what exactly do we mean when we talk about beauty tips without breaking the bank? These are strategic approaches to building a high-performance skincare and makeup routine using affordable products with clinically effective ingredient concentrations without sacrificing results for cost. This isn't about making do with inferior formulations. It's about understanding cosmetic chemistry well enough to identify when a $15 product contains the same active percentage, molecular weight specifications, and delivery system as a $150 one. The beauty industry operates on a massive markup model. A prestige moisturizer might contain 5% niacinamide, 1% ceramide complex, and squalene, packaged in frosted glass with a designer cap for $95 per ounce. Meanwhile, a drugstore formula with identical actives at the same percentages sits 3 aisles over for $8 per ounce. Same ingredient deck, same manufacturing standards. Many budget brands are actually made in the same facilities as luxury ones. Radically different price tags. I've tested over 500 dupe pairings, and what I've learned is this: performance lives in the formulation, not the price point. When you know what to look for on an ingredient label, retinol concentration, hyaluronic acid molecular weight distribution, peptide sequences, preservative systems, you can build a routine that delivers clinical-grade results without the luxury tax. That's the foundation of smart, budget-conscious beauty. Now let's talk about how budget beauty actually works. Here's the mechanism. You reverse engineer luxury formulations by matching active ingredients, percentages, and vehicle systems in affordable alternatives. This requires reading ingredient lists, which are listed in descending order by concentration until you hit the 1% threshold, understanding which actives matter for your specific skin goals, and knowing the benchmarks for efficacy. Retinol concentration is the perfect example. Clinical studies show results at 0.25% to 1% retinol for anti-aging benefits. CeraVe Resurfacing Retinol Serum contains encapsulated retinol at approximately 0.3%, comparable to prestige serums that cost 5 times more. Check the show notes for a link to the current price. The delivery system, liposomal encapsulation, and supporting cast, ceramides, niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, are nearly identical to luxury formulas. The primary difference? The luxury version comes in a heavier glass bottle and costs around $80 versus CeraVe's $15 price point for the same volume. The process works across categories. For niacinamide, studies demonstrate efficacy at 2 to 5% for barrier repair, oil regulation, and hyperpigmentation. The Ordinary's niacinamide 10% plus zinc 1% delivers double the clinical threshold for under $10 per ounce, while luxury brands charge $60 to $120 for formulations with the same active at 5%. You're not getting worse niacinamide in the budget option, you're getting more of it for less money. Hyaluronic acid formulations require attention to molecular weight distribution. Effective HA serums contain multiple molecular weights. High molecular weight HA, that's 1 to 1.5 million Daltons, for surface hydration. Midweight, 400,000 to 800,000 Daltons for barrier support. And low weight, 5,000 to 50,000 Daltons for deeper penetration. The Ordinary hyaluronic acid 2% plus B5 contains this full spectrum for around $8, while luxury brands charge $70 to $90 for functionally identical formulations. Check the show notes for a link to the current price. Both are manufactured to cosmetic-grade standards. Both deliver layered hydration. The price difference funds marketing, not better chemistry. Want to dive deeper into how actives interact? Check out How to Layer Bioregenerative Serums with Acids and Antioxidants Safely for pH-dependent sequencing that maximizes every product's efficacy. Here's what doesn't work. Assuming all budget products are identical, ignoring preservative systems, or matching products solely by category without checking ingredient lists. A $6 retinol cream with retinol palmitate, which is a weak retinoid ester requiring multiple conversions to become active, will not perform like a $12 serum with stabilized retinol at 0.5%. The formula composition matters more than the price tag, but you need to know what you're reading. Moving on to why this matters for your routine, the financial impact is staggering. A full luxury skincare routine, cleanser, toner, serum, moisturizer, eye cream, SPF, easily runs $400 to $800. An ingredient-matched budget routine costs $80 to $150 total. That's the same active percentages, same supporting ingredients, same results for 70 to 80% less money. I tested this myself for 90 days. I used a luxury routine on one side of my face, total cost around $650, and a budget dupe routine on the other, total cost around $120. Both contained 0.5% retinol, 5% niacinamide, vitamin C at 15% L-ascorbic acid, and peptide complexes. The result? Identical improvements in texture, tone, and fine lines. Zero perceptible difference in performance. My bank account, however, noticed the $530 gap. This approach scales across makeup, too. Luxury foundations often contain the same silicone bases, dimethicone, cyclopentasiloxane, film formers like trimethylsiloxysilicate, and pigment dispersions as drugstore formulas, just repackaged. I wore high-end and drugstore foundations for 8 hours in 90-degree California heat, and the drugstore option, with identical silicone ratios and pigment load, lasted just as long. The luxury version felt fancier in my hand. On my face, no difference. If you're building a routine from scratch, start with how to build a complete skincare routine on a budget to understand product order and active layering before you spend $1. Now let's break down the different types of budget beauty strategies you can use. First up, ingredient matching dupes. This is precision dupe hunting, finding affordable products with the same active ingredients at comparable percentages. Example, Estee Lauder Advanced Night Repair contains bifida ferment lysate as the second ingredient, plus sodium hyaluronate and peptides. Misha Time Revolution Night Repair contains bifida ferment filtrate, which is functionally identical at a similar concentration for around $25 versus Estee Lauder's $100 plus price point. Both are fermented actives. Both deliver barrier strengthening benefits. The performance gap is negligible. Next, formulation type matching. Sometimes you can't match ingredients exactly, but you can match the vehicle system and finish. Want a dewy, luminous base? Match formulations with glycerin in the top 5 ingredients, hyaluronic acid for plumping, and light reflecting particles like mica or synthetic fluorphlogopite. The e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter uses this exact formula architecture, glycerin forward, HA infused, mica luted for under $15, delivering the same glowy finish as $50 prestige illuminators. Check the show notes for a link to the current price. Then there are strategic splurges. Not every product has a perfect dupe. Some luxury formulations use patented delivery systems or proprietary ingredient blends that budget brands can't replicate. In those cases, you splurge strategically on the 1 or 2 products where the luxury version genuinely outperforms, then save everywhere else. I splurge on a high-performance vitamin C serum because ascorbic acid stability is tricky, and sunscreen because I want the most elegant, reapplication-friendly texture. Everything else? Drugstore. Another approach is manufacturing research. Many budget brands are manufactured in the same facilities as luxury ones, particularly in South Korea, where cosmetic manufacturing standards are exceptionally high. Korean brands like COSRX, Purito, and Beauty of Joseon produce clinically effective formulations at $12 to $25 price points because they bypass Western prestige markup. For more on K-beauty ingredients and formulations, see Korean skincare ingredients explained. And finally, private label identification. Some drugstore products are private label versions of luxury formulas made by the same manufacturer but branded differently. This happens more often than you'd think. Research manufacturing codes, often printed on the packaging, and cross-reference with manufacturer databases to identify identical formulations sold under different brand names. Let's tackle some frequently asked questions. How do I know if a budget product is actually as good as a luxury one? Compare the ingredient lists side by side, focusing on the first 10 to 15 ingredients, which make up the bulk of the formula. Look for matching active percentages. If both list niacinamide in the top 5 ingredients, they likely contain similar concentrations, that 2 to 5% range. Check the vehicle system. Are both water-based gels, silicone-heavy serums, or emollient creams? Texture and delivery matter as much as actives. Test both on separate areas of your face for 2 to 4 weeks and compare results objectively. Photos help. If performance is identical, the budget option is genuinely equivalent. For more guidance on identifying quality formulations regardless of price, read How to Spot Quality Ingredients in Cheap Beauty Products. Are drugstore retinols actually effective or just watered-down versions? Drugstore retinols are effective when they contain stabilized retinol at clinically relevant concentrations, 0.25 to 1%. The key is checking whether the product lists retinol specifically, not retinol palmitate or retinol acetate, which are much weaker retinoid esters. CeraVe, La Roche-Posay, and The Ordinary all use encapsulated retinol at effective percentages, identical to prestige formulations. The primary difference is often the supporting ingredient cast. Luxury versions may include additional peptides or antioxidants, but the core retinol efficacy is the same. Start with 0.25 to 0.5% formulations to build tolerance, regardless of price point. For specific product recommendations, check out Best Affordable Retinol Serums under $30. Can cheap makeup really look as good as expensive makeup? Yes, when you match formulation types and application techniques. Luxury makeup often has better shade ranges and more refined textures straight from the package, but drugstore formulas with identical pigment loads and binder systems perform identically on the skin. The difference shows up in three areas: shade selection, luxury brands offer more undertone variations; packaging, drugstore applicators are often clunkier; and fragrance, budget products sometimes use cheaper fragrance compounds. But the actual wear time, color payoff, and finish, nearly identical when you compare apples to apples. I wore drugstore and luxury foundations side by side for months, and the $13 version lasted just as long as the $60 one. Application technique matters more than price. For tips on elevating affordable formulas, see How to Make Cheap Makeup Look Expensive. What ingredients should I never cheap out on? Sunscreen is the only non-negotiable. Buy the formula you'll actually reapply, even if it costs more, because consistent use matters more than active type. Beyond that, vitamin C serums with L-ascorbic acid benefit from better stabilization systems in pricier formulations, though some affordable brands like Timeless and Geek and Gorgeous nail this. Innovative actives like growth factors, exosomes, or patented peptide complexes often don't have budget equivalents yet. If you want cutting-edge bioregenerative technology, you might pay more until the patents expire and generics emerge. Everything else, retinol, niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, ceramides, AHAs, BHAs, has excellent affordable options. For sunscreen-specific recommendations, explore top 12 Korean sunscreens under $20. How do I build a budget routine that actually targets my specific skin concerns? Start with your primary concern and identify the gold standard active for that issue: hyperpigmentation, niacinamide at 2 to 5%, vitamin C at 10 to 20%, or azelaic acid at 10%. Fine lines and texture, retinol at 0.25 to 1%, or bakuchiol at 0.5 to 2%. Dehydration, multi-weight hyaluronic acid and ceramides. Barrier damage, Centella asiatica, panthenol, and cholesterol ceramide fatty acid blends. Then find the most affordable products that deliver those actives at effective percentages. Brands like The Ordinary, Good Molecules, Versed, and COSRX are excellent starting points. Layer actives correctly: pH-dependent acids first, then antioxidants, then moisturizers, and give formulations 8 to 12 weeks to show results. For step-by-step guidance, read How to Build a Complete Skincare Routine on a Budget and cross-reference Understanding Active Ingredient Concentrations to decode percentages. Here's your budget beauty blueprint. The smartest beauty tips without breaking the bank boil down to this: learn to read formulations like a cosmetic chemist, match actives and percentages instead of brand names, and test results objectively. Your skin doesn't know whether niacinamide costs $8 or $80. It only responds to molecular structure and concentration. Start with one category. Serums are the easiest to dupe because actives are front-loaded. Compare a luxury product you love to 3 budget alternatives with similar ingredient decks. Test them for a month. Document texture, absorption, results. I guarantee you'll find at least one affordable option that performs identically. Then replicate that process across your routine. The goal isn't to never buy luxury products, it's to spend intentionally on the formulations that genuinely outperform and save everywhere else. That's how you build a routine that delivers clinical results without the clinical trial budget. Ready to start swapping? Grab the Budget Beauty Shopping Checklist and let's build your affordable luxury routine from the ground up. That's it for this episode of Luxury Beauty on a Budget podcast. Thanks for spending this time with me today. New episodes come out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you'll never be waiting too long for the next one. And hey, if you're finding this show helpful, I'd be really grateful if you'd leave a 5-star rating and write a quick review. I know it sounds like a small thing, but it actually makes a huge difference in helping other people discover the podcast when they're searching for honest, research-backed beauty advice. And make sure you're subscribed or following the show so you get a notification the second a new episode goes live. I'll catch you next time.